Hello, this is Joe and welcome back to the channel. In tonight's video, I'm going to be trying to use the 2600mm Pro on my Edge HD8 at full focal length of 2032 millimeters, but I'm going to be using it in bin 2 mode. Recently, I had my 2600 on the Edge HD8 at full focal length, and I was using it just in the native bin 1 mode. And it doesn't really have a bin 1, bin 2 mode, so to speak, like the ASI294 does. The 294mm Pro actually has almost what you would call subpixels, and it allows you to put it into bin 2 mode, which is what it would be natively, even though the pixels are subdivided to make bigger pixels. In bin 1 mode, they've unlocked it so that you can use each individual pixel to get a much larger resolution, however a much smaller image scale because the pixel size is only 2.3 microns. Now in bin 2 mode, the pixel size is 4.6 microns, which matches up much better with the Edge HD when it's in full focal length, but still not good enough, really. And so what I want to try and do is use the 2600 in bin 2 mode. And when I say this, I mean in hardware, we're going to bin it 2x2 as opposed to doing it in software. And there's a number of reasons why you would want to do this. And I'm not even sure if the 2600 is capable of it. Now I've read on, Trevor Jones has an article on his website that describes that the 2600 works in bin 2 and bin 3x3 modes in hardware as well as software. It actually goes up higher in software. And in ZWO's website, it highly recommends that you do binning in software after the fact. But the problem is that with the 3.76 micron pixel size of the 2600 and with 2032 millimeter focal length, my image scale is quite small. I believe it's around 38 arc seconds per pixel. And that makes, there's some challenges that come with that. For one thing, you really have to be guiding tremendously well. Basically, you need to be guiding under 0.38 total RMS. And that's really hard to do. I know that I've done it and I've accomplished it many times, but not throughout the whole night. And especially if you're going to do multiple nights on a project, the scene isn't always going to be there for you to accomplish that kind of pixel scale. So what happens is your stars get extremely bloated, and it just becomes, you notice every tiny little thing that goes wrong when you're above the 0.38 arc seconds. So what I want to try and do is bin 2 the 2600 to see how that works. So to show this more clearly, I'm going to go over to the CCD suitability calculator and show you what I'm talking about. Here we are at the CCD suitability calculator on the Astronomy Tools website, and under telescope I've selected the Celestron C8 Edge HD, and it gives us a focal length of 2032 millimeters. I've also selected the 2600 as the camera, and that gives us a pixel size of 3.76 microns. This gives us a resolution of 0.38 arc seconds per pixel. What that translates out to is that when I'm guiding and I'm imaging with my telescope mount, I need to be at 0.38 arc seconds total RMS or lower to completely take advantage of this resolution. That is something that's very difficult for me to achieve with my equipment and with my scene. Also take note that it says that's the ideal pixel size for good scene is between 0.33 and 1 arc second per pixel. So I can get this number much higher, have an easier time of guiding, and still be in the ideal pixel size. Now, when we get to exceptional scene, you'll notice that this number drops down. So if I'm going to have exceptional scene, I don't really want to be much under the 0.5 arc seconds per pixel, or much over it, in order to get to take advantage of the full resolution of my telescope. And under OK Scene, I'm way oversampled, and I need to be all the way up to 0.67 arc seconds per pixel or higher. So let's go back to Good Scene, and let's see what happens when we use the 294 in bin 2 mode. So we'll come down here and we'll select the 294mm PRO in bin 2 mode, and we'll notice that this changes the 4.63 microns, and the resolution now is 0.47 arc seconds per pixel, and that's much more manageable on excellent scene night, or exceptional according to the website. But on a good scene night, this number might be around 0.5, 0.52, and I could pretty much keep this going, I believe, for the majority of the scene session, so which is why I did like using the 294 in bin 2 mode on it. But I still don't think that I'm able to consistently always stay at 0.47 or below, especially when I get an okay scene night or a poor scene night. And again, once I am at that level, I'm also greatly oversampled. So now we're going to take the 2600 again, but this time we're going to tell it to bin in 2x2 mode. That leaves us a resolution of 0.76 arc seconds per pixel, and even under OK Scene, I could still easily maintain this, and we're still in the green. Under Good Scene, I could very easily attain this and under for the whole night, and we're still doing okay. We're within that. We're still below that 1 arc second per pixel, and it only gets a little close when we get to the exceptional scene, because it's wanting you to look at something like 0.5 arc seconds per pixel, and so we're slightly above that, still in the greenish yellow area. We might start to see a little bit of softness due to undersampling. I wanted to give a huge shout out to my friend Jay from James Land YouTube channel, who has 2 really good videos on image scale and the differences between his cameras and his scopes, and I think it's really a must-watch as you grow between intermediate and advanced astrophotographer. So I'm going to leave a link to those in the description below. I've got one galaxy shot with the 2600 normally with the 3.76 micron pixels, and then I've got another galaxy that I just shot with my 294mm PRO in bin 2 mode, which is 4.6 micron pixels. And that imaging scale is a little bit better, plus I get a little bit more reach with the 294 because of the smaller sensor size. Well, at least a smaller field of view. I mean, the reach is going to be the same, of course. So what I really would like to do now is swap out my 294, put the 2600 back on the telescope, and see if I can't get an even better image scale because of the higher micron pixels. So now that I have the camera swapped over, we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and load up a sequence, and I think what I'm going to do is Bode's Galaxy, mostly because I don't want to really waste any imaging time just taking arbitrary targets. And Bode's Galaxy with the 2600 at the full focal length of the Edge HD8 looks really nice. It framed up really nice when I looked at it. And I really like the field of view. I think I can get a really nice shot. Now with the 294, it doesn't leave a whole lot of space around the galaxy. And so I thought I would do that with this 2600. I just wanted to go over the sequence for the evening. It is M81, and we're using the advanced sequencer because I want to be able to open my roll-off roof automatically and shut it again at the end of the night. I'm not doing anything else specific to the reason that you would use the advanced sequencer other than that, really. So the important part here is that I'm going to be running bin 2x2 on every one of the filters, and I'm going to try and squeeze in 70 luminance and 16 each of RGB. Now the luminance I'm going to be using 180 seconds and the RGB at 300 seconds each, and that's because I am shooting at f10. Normally, when I have the reducer on with the Edge HD, I'm usually running at 120 second luminance, sometimes 90, depending on how bright the target is, and also with my RGB, I'm between 90 seconds and 180 somewhere, again, depending on the brightness. So I got started last night, and I was getting some pretty decent images despite that very bright moon, although Bodes was pretty far away from the moon for the majority of the beginning of the night, and then it kind of converged with the moon later on in the early morning hours. But I was having a really hard time guiding, and I couldn't figure it out. And then this morning, I understood what I had done, or why I was having such a hard time guiding, and I'm going to go test that. I'm taking you with me to go see if I'm correct, and if I am, it was a huge rookie mistake. So let's go see if I'm correct or not. All right, so we're going to test this out. All I need to do real quick is slew the telescope to the home position. And I have a feeling I know exactly why I was having such a hard time guiding. And as you can see, I am way out of balance. That was a huge rookie mistake. So let's take a look at the images that I've taken so far over the course of the last couple weeks. And we're going to start with NGC 4725, and this was taken with the 2600mm Pro with just bin 1 mode or normal mode. And there's some pretty decent detail in here. I've had to run it a few times and process it because the stars were a little blurry or bloated. Yeah, probably more bloated than anything else. And so I had to do a lot of deconvolution on this and a little bit of sharpening in Photoshop, and you could tell it's okay. It's not one of my favorite images, but I love the galaxies. The galaxies look really cool. I'm super impressed with them, but this is really the image that prompted me to try and start experimenting with some different things. So next we're going to look at the Sunflower Galaxy, and this was taken with the 294mm Pro in bin 2 mode. And you could see it's really picked up a lot of detail. This galaxy is a little small and far away, so this is cropped in pretty good too. I was impressed with the detail. The stars are still just slightly bloated or bigger than what I was hoping for, and I tried to reduce the star size just a little bit, but it makes it hard when you've got galaxies because some of the stars are sitting in front of the galaxies, and if you remove them, then you leave rings. There's the slightest little bit of ring right here and here. I don't know how good this will come out on YouTube, but anyway, I've had to do some sharpening with this one as well. Now, M81 I took with the 2600 in bin 2 mode, and I actually like the way the stars came out. I caught a little bit of IFN here. The problem though is that I've lost a lot of resolution, and I don't know if it's worth losing that amount of resolution to run it in bin 2 mode, to keep the stars from bloating out too bad. And even then my scene wasn't the best, so I've got a little bit of star bloat here and here. But overall, I'm pretty happy with these images that I've gotten, and I'm kind of glad that I ran the test. I don't know if I'm going to actually be trying to use the 2600 in bin 2 mode. I mean, the file sizes are smaller. I just not seen any kind of massive improvement that would say, yep, this is definitely, here's bin 1 mode and here's bin 2 mode, and either through processing or some other way, you get a better image. The backgrounds look a lot better in bin 2 mode, I think. It because you have to sharpen up these others quite a bit. You tend to get the ringing, which is like almost a coarseness or something in your background. I don't know if you can make that out, but you could definitely tell by looking at these two images that's got some in there, and this one's pretty clean for the most part. I just wish that I had a little bit more. I would have liked to have picked up a little bit more detail, and maybe I overexposed a little bit as well. I did 180 seconds and 300 seconds for RGB, and maybe I should have dropped it down to 120 for luminance and maybe 240 for RGB, to help retain some more of the detail in here and not absolutely blow out the center. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm interested to know if you see any differences, or what you think of the images. These are galaxy seasons, a fun time of year, and these are some nice galaxies.